Hey guys, it's me, Mr. Anderson. I'm the Sinsful Comics YouTube channel for the first time. The idea behind it is that I'm a contributor and a head writer on a lot of the Sinsful Comics comic books. So I'm going to be doing special things for this site that will be live, the YouTube channel, and they might wind up going on the Written Sins. They might not. They might stay exclusive content of Sinsful Comics. Today I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to give a spoiler review of Star Wars. This is meant for people who've actually watched it. I will be doing a different one that has nothing to do with having watched it and a spoil-free one. This is to discuss how I felt about the story. And before I get started, I'm not a person who reviews things lightly. I think that the Star Wars can take my criticism. I don't think I'm going to hurt the brand by what I'm going to say, but I do have some serious concerns about the film. With that said, know that I'm a lifelong Star Wars fan, and I can tell you that it is at least worth watching on the big screen. I do think it's worth the price of admission right away. But with that said, I'm going to use my usual format, but I'm going to do it in a spoiled way. So this is your last warning. If you don't want this spoiled for you, do not watch this film. Now, this is basically going to use our usual format, but this is not, I'm not going to give the credits page because it's too long. This is what we'd use for comic books, the ongoing series and all that. And the first impression of the title, obviously, I've known Star Wars since I was a kid. The Last Jedi kind of made me feel like they were going to stop having Jedis and move towards that mutual power, which is mentioned a lot. We'll have to see how that goes. But so far, it is misleading as it is not The Last Jedi. Those who watch the movie realize this by the end. There is, I guess technically it's still The Last Jedi because Rey becomes The Last Jedi. We'll have to see. Because I guess by the beginning of the film, she's actually not Luke's no longer The Last Jedi because she's become a Jedi. And technically with them actually still coming back as ghosts, so Jedi's ever fully gone. It's an interesting thing to debate. How did the story flow? This one flowed decent. I don't think that there was a flow problem as much as there were plot problems. The thoughts on the art, which is the cinematography and the CGI, is fantastic. Got to give them credit. It looked like a beautiful film. It was very well filmed. I'm very happy with having seen it, and I'm going to go see it again. So that tells you, even with the problems I have, I think it's worth watching again. What was the best part of the movie in this case to me? The best part of the movie had to be the fact that there was the continuation of a story. I got to see some characters I love. I got to see some really funny moments. I mean, it was not by any way, shape, or form a dumpster fire. It is not the best in the collection to me. It definitely had its problems. One of those being the spacewalk with Leia. And as you guys notice in the video, I'm showing some art that we were given to celebrate this from various artists. And you should check it out on writtensins.com. Under Star Wars fan art in our little search area here. But I mean, it was, you know, getting to see the characters, getting to see character development. It was interesting in that regard. I was definitely entertained. Were the characters relatable and interesting? Yes, they were. I don't know how relatable some of them are, but they were definitely interesting. What was the best part of the movie to me? Seeing the characters come back to life, getting to revisit my childhood in a movie. Did it leave me wanting a next continued issue? Yes, I'll be honest. I want to see what happens next. And do I recommend this to others? And final thoughts. Okay, do I recommend it? I started this video saying that I recommended it, but I wouldn't call it Anderson approved. This is something that will not be, to me, considered Anderson approved. The reason I don't consider it Anderson approved is I had some real fundamental issues. The fact that they add a casino job in the middle of it, it suddenly becomes Star Trek Ocean's 3. It felt like the writer went and read every spoiler, every internet theory, and went out of their way to make it nonsense. And of course, everything can change with the third film, a new director. I get that. The story hasn't even been written. But right now, as it is, Rey is a pointless character as far as her past goes. Her whole past is pointless. She just is from normal people. Like, it has nothing to do with anything. Yet she has this big pull to Kylo Ren, and they get to see each other, and it's lost on me. And granted, that could have a payoff. I get that as a writer. I might not understand where the story is going, so that's fine. The fact that they can read minds isn't my Star Wars. My Star Wars, they couldn't read minds. They weren't Professor X. I don't like that. I know someone had said that if you read the canon, whatever canon is these days, mind you, it does explain more. And I'm given the impression that Jedis are now more like gods, which might explain why Leia gets thrown out into space and everything we know about space is defied. And apparently it's okay for people to be in space, and there's no problem, and they can force push themselves back into a spacecraft and be okay after freezing to death. Obviously, that was something I didn't like. Now, the biggest thing, and this is my closing argument for why I don't like the film. It's supposed to be the second movie, and to me, it felt like a blended version of the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It felt like they tried to take those two movies, blend it together, and sprinkle on top of the blended things some Phantom Menace. And that's how the movie made sense to me. It felt like a mashup. It felt like they were trying to chase the past too much. And they did that a lot in The Force Awakens, but they did it better. In this one, I really, really, really felt like it got lost. And, I mean, they get the shit kicked out of them. I have never seen the good guys get beat up so bad. That would be like if Rocky were knocked out and then Apollo Creed took a shit on his face. That is how bad of a beating the rebels got. And despite all that, we see an end shot where they're all happy because Rey picked up some rocks and they saved 20 people. I want you to understand it. They start the movie with a fleet, with destroyers, with fighters, and throughout the movie, they lose everything. They call their friends, and no one comes. No one gives a shit. They get the call, and they're like, nope, not picking up that crazy. You know what I mean? Like, fuck them. So, you know, and granted, you can make the argument, the Empire and all that. And it's not that they get beat up so bad. That I'm okay with. You know, shit happens sometimes. It's just they get beaten up so bad that it's almost freaking laughable what happens at the very end. They are on the Millennium Falcon, happy. I don't see that. I don't see how that's possible. I don't care that Rey can pick up rocks now and that even if she's like the best Jedi ever, you're not going to win. I mean, there's that Luke Skywalker moment, which was absolute trash, where he's projecting himself now and he can make solid objects out of nothing. So apparently he's a god. He's a force god because he can be somewhere else, and he's not a hologram, but he's not a real person. What the fuck was that? Seriously, what the hell was that? And granted, that could be a canon thing, and I haven't read every book because I just don't have that kind of attention span to read that many books that don't count or do count nowadays. And I'm definitely not trying to be disrespectful about it. Sorry, I had to take a sip of soda and check on the boy. I'm not trying to be disrespectful about it. It was a cool moment to see it get blown off and Luke do the shoulder wipe of dust off of it. That was cool, but the payoff wasn't. You know, it felt cheap. It felt like a millennial movie where consequences aren't real. And Star Wars, the original 3 that I saw, of course, that episode 4, 5, and 6 growing up, the consequences felt real. And in this, it doesn't. I mean, you have this group of people who just lost The Last Jedi, who now, I guess, Rey is The Last Jedi. They've lost Han Solo. Because remember, these movies happened almost back-to-back to each other. There's not much between them, time-wise. So they've been getting the shit kicked out of them, and they're not on the Millennium Falcon just laughing. They're just hanging out and being like, "Oh, this is cool. We're gonna get back on our feet." And granted, that could all happen. that could all legitimately happen. They can definitely get back on their feet. But there wasn't that moment. So for me, and maybe I've been watching Rick and Morty too much. Maybe that's it. Maybe I've been watching Rick and Morty way too much. But to me, the end of Star Wars, when they're on the Millennium Falcon, should have gone something more like this. So they're all standing around, they're all smiling. One of the people should have turned around and been like, holy shit, holy fuck, we have to get the fuck out of here. Why are you guys fucking smiling? Why is anyone fucking happy? Did you just see what happened? Do you understand that we started this fight with having ships and we're now on someone else's ship? This isn't even one of our fucking ships. A fucking Wookiee owns this ship. I think a Wookiee owns it. I don't know. Does Rey own it? It doesn't matter who owns it. They're going to fucking kill us. We got to fucking run. I don't get why everyone's so fucking happy. We didn't win. I just lost everyone I fucking knew. Jesus Christ, we got to get out of here. We got to fucking hide. I was like, I don't care how much Leia says that we're going to be okay. We're not. Maybe she can float in space, but I'm going to fucking die. That's how that shit should have gone down. There should have been that one guy, if not all of them, being like, oh my fucking God. That was the worst beating of good guys I've seen since the Wasp has gotten eaten. I mean, this is just, holy fuck did they get beat up. I mean, seriously, Bane breaking Batman's back was gentle compared to what they went through. They should not be happy. It did not make sense. There was a disconnect from reality. To me, this is me as a fan speaking. I won't say how you should feel about it. You are going to have your own opinions. God bless you for it. That's what fandom is. We all have our different opinions. But my God, was that fucking awful. How they don't deal with that. The tragedy that they've just been through as a group has got to be horrible. I'm still at a loss with Kylo Ren. He makes no sense. He just seems like an out-of-control teenager. It makes no sense. I don't get it. I think that the way that they killed the Snoke guy and had him make no sense to anything, not even a background story. You know, like you built him up to be this badass and he's just some dude in a chair who's easily defeated. Like, what the hell was that? It just, I'm sorry, man. They called this script in. It is an enjoyable movie to watch. Yes, there are moments that you're going to cheer for. It was nice to see Carrie Fisher's last performance. And that was kind of rough. It was kind of rough every time you thought she might, you know, the character might die. Because you know in real life that she can't come back. So you're almost expecting it. It was hard to watch that. And I can understand there being excitement. And I'm not saying this is a dumpster fire movie. And I'm not saying it's unwatchable. It is actually watchable. It is just not the best of the Star Wars. It let me down. I actually found Phantom Menace more enjoyable than this, to be honest with you. This is not my favorite movie. Great characters, great actors, great cinematography. That's all great. The writing was just not there for me. That's just my opinion. Tell me why I'm wrong in the comments, in the comment sections below. And I will be doing a spoil-free review if you guys want to check that out too. But I'll be doing that live on Facebook.